revenue for 2018-2019 is comprised of 1,836 million, or 91% of tax revenue, and 100.484 million. Now, the CDB, the IMF, ECCB, and our department, here our finance department, has initially determined that there's going to be a contraction in the economy of 10%. A couple of days ago, the governor indicated to me, the governor of the ECCB, indicated that that number is being revised, and that number is probably going to be closer to 18%. Now, the CDB, the IMF, ECCB, and our department, here our finance department, has initially determined that there's going to be a contraction in the economy of 10%. A couple of days ago, the governor indicated to me, the governor of the ECCB, indicated that that number is being revised, and that number is probably going to be closer to 18%. We also heard the comments, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure members on the other side heard it as well, from Kristalina, the managing director of the IMF, who indicated that as bad as some of the projections are, she still believes that they're too optimistic.
Alan has always been a spendthrift. If saying, look, we built this horse race track and all this sort of thing going on there. Do you recall years ago, Alan had something called Boxing in Paradise?
Yes.
And you know what the whole theme of all of that was? That St. Lucia, in his words, I quote, St. Lucia will be like a mini Vegas. You know, we're going to have these things and tourists are going to come in, fill the hotels and do all this sort of things. Getting all excited about this whole thing. It didn't make any sense to anybody who had half a brain.
How many, Andrew, there were so many private jets parked on the tarmac, as you will know. More than 24, I think, private jets.
Wow.
There were private jets parked
More
there.
than 24.
Right.
That's bullshit, that's bullshit.
What do? We're going to spend $120 million on a racetrack, giving horses air-conditioned stalls.
Right.
They can't eat grass that we have here. They have to import grass to feed the horses. And all this sort of foolishness. And people are cheering this. This is nonsense.
Conflict of interest.
How can a poor island like St. Lucia survive? Now, you take, for instance, buildings. I have said repeatedly and repeatedly, you cannot afford those expensive buildings. So why?
I just want to show you a graph, and this is of Government of St. Lucia rental payments per annum between 2008, 2009, and 2000, up until the last year gone, up until March 31st, 2021. And as you can see, over the past 5 years, we've seen an incredible rise in that figure. I mean, I've color-coded it just for the benefit of those out there. In yellow, that period within the Alan Chastanet's administration. And we're now looking at over $70 million on annual payments of government for rent at this point in time. That's a very, very concerning rate of increase. And even before that 2020, 2021, it was increasing. It was clearly way, way out of control.
70 million a year. And you're going to add another 4 million just from this, another 4 million. And again, that's why it raises the question of why did the government believe this is prudent?
That when you give 800 acres of land at $1 an acre, you tell me which St. Lucian can get any government land for $1 an acre?
Because of his pedigree. When policies and programs are put together, he starts from up here. He starts up here. Because he doesn't understand down here. Right. And that's the reason why you see that a lot of the programs and projects that he has implemented over the years, over the 5 years, very few, are not for the people down here.
Alan believes in what's called top-down economics. Make a few people on top rich, and they'll do this and they'll do that, they'll fix their yard and so on, and you can come and work on the yard, in the yard, you know, or paint the house or do something like that.
Yeah. We have over $1.5 billion US of foreign direct investment
that's committed to come to St. Lucia over the next 2 years.
How much is
1.2 billion
over the next 2 years?
next 2 years
Starting
in January.
in January. Okay.
But you remember you indicated that there's 1.5 billion or so committed to St. Lucia?
I never committed anything. And so some of the critical projects that we are lucky that we have, that have already been financed and are shovel ready, is to push those projects hard as much as we can in the initial stages. One, to create jobs, and two, to try to create revenue for the government. And so that the foreign direct investment is really coming in the form of those loans.
It has borrowed over $400 million this year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the government boasts
again, the member
about
is using information to mislead the House. How much you borrow doesn't mean that it's attributing and going towards the debt of the country.
what?
The country's broke.
And if anything goes wrong or there's a problem, throw money at it. It's not working, throw more money at it. Throw money at it. You want to win the elections? You want to get out there? Throw some money and see what happens with respect to buying a seat.
St. Lucia's public sector debt has increased by more than 900 million, or 30%, since the Chastanet's administration took office in 2016. According to this table, St. Lucia's debt is highest in the Eastern Caribbean, close to 350 million more in the red than number 2, Antigua and Barbuda.
If you don't know how to make money for yourself, you can make nobody else make money.
Wow.
We have no more money.
When members come to this House and talk about consultancy fees, $9 million, so what?